You are listening to the B.I.G. Show with your hosts, Calvin and Garland. The B.I.G. Show is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Here are your hosts, Calvin and Garland.
It is the big show.
Yeah, people.
On another Monday evening. Another Tuesday evening. Jeez, I'm all. All off there. Hey, we're live on YouTube right now. You can catch us on all the podcast platforms. And if you do have Spotify, when this episode drops, you will get to see our beautiful faces. I'm Calvin. That's my guy Garland over there. Hey, Garland, what's going on, man?
What's going on, bro? It's, like we said last week, dog days of summer, man. Trying to get through August. Can't believe it. This seemed like yesterday was June. Summer's almost practically over. Just a couple more weeks before Labor Day, and then kind of like the unofficial end of summer as people really start getting back to regular life, school, and other jobs and stuff. I'm in here with three educators in my house, and so for one educator, her whole summer was off. She didn't do nothing. For another one, she had to work a couple days a week in the office, and for my wife, she's retired, but actually she's going back to work for a little bit for several months in the local school system. And so she's looking forward to that. So I ain't got to be all angry when I'm leaving the house and she's still laying in the bed talking about, all right, I'll talk to you later, while I'm leaving. Right. Getting it in, getting the extra sleep in, whatnot. I'm about to hit 95, heading on to work, and she rolling over. And so, she about to have to get up and start earning something too as well. And so, this is always just the transition of summer. What about yourself, bro?
Hey, man, summer just like every other summer, but it just seems to go faster and faster. Summer just rolling by, watching the landlord get taller from the beginning of it to the end of it. Just hanging out, me and the wife. Now, we generally don't do a whole lot of traveling during the summer, but towards the end, like we'll start traveling within the next couple weeks or so, and then it'll be a little travel season. Then next thing you know, that football will be hot and heavy, kicking in fantasy football. I'll be talking some trash, losing some money, dropping my parlays, winning some money. You know how it is. Football season is a popping season for all of us.
Are you ready for some football? Yeah, man, it's coming up. As a matter of fact, just to let y'all know, in a couple of weeks, we're going to have our NFL 2006 season preview show. And so we're looking forward to that. This will be our third or fourth year, maybe our third year in a row doing this. And so, man,
I think we're going on like five.
Okay, we've done it five. Okay. So, all right, go back and look at the archives, people. And so we're going into it. We're going to do a little deeper dive into the NFC and the AFC. And also, we'll be in our new studio by then as well. And so this is going to be a different format for us and everything. So, stick with us as we make that transition to the Be More podcast family. And, still going to be B.I.G. Still going to be Calvin cussing me angry and saying bad things about teams and, always being right when people try to accuse me that I'm wrong. Also, it's going to be me about winning the pigskin pick'em again. We still going to bring pigskin pick'em with us during the season as well. So a lot of the things that y'all love that we do, we still going to bring it with us, but it's just going to be in a new format. So y'all stick with us as we do this. All right, man. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. And we're going to talk about our man Lamar Jackson. And just about every season, Calvin, I believe every offseason, because they probably need some numbers. It starts off the offseason and we get into summer camp with a lot of Lamar Jackson slander. Despite winning multiple NFL MVP awards, teammates in analysis are often defending him against what they view as unfair, persistent narratives surrounding his unique style of play and his leadership. This year on ESPN.com, NFL executives, coaches, and scouts ranked him number 5 out of the top 10 quarterbacks currently in the league. They rested him at number 5 behind Josh Allen, a man who's only won one MVP, Pat Mahomes, he's the GOAT. He should always be number one until he retires. Matt Stafford, he's won a championship and an MVP. And Joe Burrow, who's never won anything outside of the AFC championship. He's never won an MVP at all. Also, he was ranked the 69th best player in the league by his peers in a survey for, the NFL Network, the top 100. He went from number 2 the season before down to 69. And so, just a lot of slander about Lamar. Can he lead the team? But before we get into discussing Lamar, I want to play this clip from a guy named Warren Sharp. I love Warren Sharp. He has a lot of great analysis of NFL using statistics, talking about what players are good, what players are not that good, what teams are good, what teams are not that good. And he had this to say about Lamar.
I think people need to be reminded of something. Go back one calendar year. Last offseason, the reigning leader in QBR, Lamar Jackson. He also led the NFL in yards per dropback, set career highs in passing touchdowns, passing yards, and yards per pass attempt. His total EPA wasn't just number one in the NFL. The gap between Jackson and the second best quarterback was larger than the gap between the second best quarterback and quarterback 12. Then comes the 2025 season last year. Through 1 month, Lamar Jackson is leading the NFL in yards per attempt, in touchdown rate, and in explosive play rate. He's ranking number 3 in the NFL in EPA per attempt, has 10 touchdowns to only 1 interception. But then he hurts his hamstring at the end of week 4. He's out a month and is on the injury report for 12 of the final 13 games of the season. That's why his stats fell off overall last year. That's why his play wasn't as strong. That's why the Ravens weren't as successful. People forget too quickly, but it's okay to remind them that statistically, the best quarterback when healthy in each of the last 2 years, Lamar Jackson.
All right. So, Calvin, we see people got short memories. Let's break this down. What will it take for Lamar to get his proper respect? I mean, we just had Sharp lay it out the last 2 years statistically when Lamar Jackson is healthy. And we saw that in the MVP seasons as well. When Lamar is healthy, he's a beast. He's unstoppable in the pass game and in the run game. His passing has improved from his first year to his current year. The team, they only missed the playoffs once in his tenure since he's been with the organization as the starting quarterback. And so, what do you think it's going to take for Lamar to get his proper respect?
There's a few different things. Number one, there has to be no off season for sports. So we're in the off season right now for sports, and of course they try to make up shit. So that's number one. There has to be no off season for sports. Lamar Jackson has to win like 4 Super Bowls in a row because as soon as he wins one this year, they're going to move the goalpost. If he wins a back to back, they're going to move the goalpost again.
Sure.
So he's going to have to win like 4 or 5 in a row. And in doing so, he's going to have to always beat Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Why we would be including him, I don't know. But of course, they're going to include him also. And then Patrick Mahomes. And last but not least, it's going to take another civil rights act to keep them from going racist against my man Lamar Jackson, because there is no other reason for a guy. Right. And there's one thing that your guy didn't say and they don't talk about enough. Historically, Lamar Jackson is the number 1 passing quarterback ever in the NFL.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What more does this man have to do? The battle isn't really against Lamar Jackson haters and Lamar Jackson lovers. The battle is against casual football fans and football fans that actually pay attention to the game. Because if you're out here still spreading this goddamn narrative that, oh, he's a running back. I mean, he's good, but he really can't pass. He's not a great passer. You clearly have not been keeping up with football these past 3 or 4 years. Like the man said, statistically over the past 2 years, there's no one even close. Do you know how far the gap has to be for you to be the best? And the gap between number 2 and number 12 is barely as large as the gap between Lamar Jackson and the second best. Come on now. Come on.
Yeah.
Now, us Lamar Jackson fans, we take the argument that Patrick Mahomes is the better quarterback because he has the rings, he's proven it. We'll even listen to your argument that Josh Allen should have won the MVP that year. We'll listen to it. Joe Burrow, he went to one Super Bowl, didn't win the Super Bowl.
Right.
His head-to-head record against Lamar Jackson is what? 3-8?
Yes.
3-9, something like
He's
that.
missed the playoffs the last 3 years.
I'm not trying to hear Justin Herbert kiss my ass with this Bo Nix shit. Caleb Williams will even tell you I'm not better than Lamar Jackson, but y'all constantly trying to find a quarterback better than Lamar Jackson. Lamar has to show up. He has to win some playoff games. And even with the performances that Lamar has had in the playoffs, because we all will admit that his playoff performances have dropped from his actual performances, you still had Zay Flowers fumbling at the goal line. You still had Mark Andrews dropping and fumbling balls. You still have a kicker missing the kick that would have sent them in the playoffs last year. So it's not like he's done this all by himself. Y'all quick to say, well, it's a team sport. Y'all quick to say, well, yeah, Josh Allen had a great defense. When Joe Flacco won the Super Bowl, it was, oh, he was winning with the great defenses. Lamar has no help in the playoffs, but y'all don't give him any grace for that. Y'all still call him a running back. Lamar's going to prove y'all wrong this year. It's Super Bowl or bust, baby.
I agree with you. I think, if he gets to that level of a Super Bowl, like you said, they're going to move the goalposts. It's because he's an unconventional player in a traditional position. The quarterback is the quote unquote traditional position. It is the position for white male privilege in the sense that, it's the position that is the quote unquote face of the organization. The quarterback is supposed to look a certain way. He's supposed to throw the ball a certain way. He's supposed to carry himself a certain way. He's supposed to be able to talk a certain way. And Lamar does not fit into those molds. And because he does not, I think that's the thing that, is used to hold him back. You have someone like Bo Nix and Justin Herbert, and they were talking about the quarterback in New England. That, some people were actually Drake May ranking these guys ahead of Lamar, which is crazy. No one's changed the game of quarterbacking in this league next to Mike Vick. Nobody has changed the quarterback position more than Lamar Jackson. You've raised a point, Calvin, and let's dive into this. Is he being unfairly criticized for these playoff failures of the team during his time with the team? I think a lot of this is unwarranted, but what's your thought about that?
Yeah, and we talked about it when it happened. We will readily admit that last playoff game against Buffalo, Lamar had a horrible first half.
Yes.
That ball that slipped out his hand, he tried to get up and throw the ball, lost the phone. He had a horrible first half. But the second half, Lamar single-handedly brought this team back where they could have won the game. What happened? Mark Andrews, his most reliable target in his career, gets a ball that he catches, but then tries to juke. Instead of just running, he tried to be Zay Flowers before Zay Flowers, and he fumbles the ball. Then on the 2-point conversion, and it doesn't even mean they're going to win the game, but they tied the game to go into overtime, and with the way Lamar was playing, they would have won that game. What does he do? He drops the ball right in his hand. Even then, if you remember, Chris Sims says, oh, well, that was on Lamar. The pass wasn't good. Are you fucking kidding me?
Right.
It was right in his hand. So, yeah, is Lamar being unfairly judged on some of these playoffs? Well, absolutely. I get it, though. He who wears the crown, what do they call it?
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Heavy is the heat. So he wears the crown. But you have to be able to see that some of these things are not completely 100% on him. Does he deserve some of the scrutiny? Yes, he does. That AFC Championship game against the Chiefs, they kept passing the ball. They would not run the ball. Lamar had the ability. That was that first year with Monken where he could start changing plays. He could have called some runs. He could have done a few things. And it does seem like Lamar presses when they're down in these playoffs and doesn't always work out for him. But he's still judged to a higher standard than anyone else. Look at Josh Allen. Josh Allen's playoff record is horrible. What does he have? The most interceptions in the quarterback history in the
Mhm.
playoffs?
He
But
really only
nobody's
has
talking about
like maybe two big playoff wins. He's lost in a lot of these games.
it.
He's lost
Yes.
in several AFC championships.
Yes.
They've lost in the divisional round. Yes, he's won a wild card. He's won probably just as many playoff games as Lamar has. I'm gonna challenge you though on that AFC championship game against the Chiefs. That lays at the feet of John Harbaugh and Todd Monken.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you
Yeah.
that
I'm
who
not going to
played a
say
role in that.
Lamar should have. It's only so many calls you can make out of a play call from the sideline before it starts to be problems. Is he going to change every pass play to a run play?
No.
That's going to be an issue. He's not going to be able to do that. And
And that's
so,
also the Zay Flowers game. He gets the
yeah, that was
15-yard
Zay.
taunting penalty. Then
Yeah.
the very next play, he gets the fumble at the goal line. So
I think overall, yeah, I agree with you. Overall mistakes, but I think also in terms of game planning and the use of Lamar, a lot of times, Calvin, it seemed like the Ravens' game plan under Greg Roman, also under Monken at some points, was let Lamar play hero ball. Lamar, bail us out.
Who's the
And,
common denominator in both of those?
well, John Harbaugh was.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of times this goes to the head coaching, this goes to the decision making that's above the player. And I think they were always hoping Lamar would bail them out in a lot of these games, particularly in the playoff games. Because you heard Lamar, how come he's not running? How come he's not running? Well, you try to build this system where he can throw from the pocket, where he can use these weapons, but your game plan was horrible. Your game plan was horrible, and
but he's still bailing them out, and then something else happens.
Yeah. So I just think I think when he gets that win, it gets him over the hump at least for the national people. But they'll find something new, and they'll change the narrative and the discussion on Lamar. Now, does the fact that and I think this is true, Calvin, because when I look at these rankings that people give him, and I think of these teams that are now on their third or fourth quarterback. Because remember back in the day, not back in the day, this was about 4 years ago when Lamar was he was about to go into free agency. And the Ravens were trying to sign him to extend him. And people were saying there are several teams out there that could make an offer that the Ravens could not match and get him. And they declined. You had the Atlanta Falcons. Arthur Blank was like, well, he's been injured. He's been this, that, and the other. Now they're on their like fourth quarterback. You had several other teams that could have gotten Lamar. So I think, from my belief, most teams in the league don't believe that Lamar is a great quarterback. Maybe Baltimore, I think, is the only team that really believes in him because they put him in a position to lead the team. They got rid of a Super Bowl winning quarterback. They changed their whole system for Lamar. Does the fact that they've always been in Lamar's corner help them retain him for the rest of his career? Because I really think this is a guy like a Ray Lewis, like a Jonathan Ogden that should end his career in Baltimore.
Yeah, so you got to remember, so they just had this tier ranking, and to answer your question, yes, they just had this tier ranking where they made Lamar Jackson the first quarterback in tier number 2. Now, this was a list generated by the executives and the owners. So absolutely. And it's been proven that they colluded against them in that season where they could have signed him. And the Atlanta Falcons, it's funny you mentioned them because didn't Tua Tagovailoa, who they picked up in free agency, didn't he just recently get hurt?
Yes.
And why is he much better than Lamar? You picked him up in free agency. Why the Dolphins dumped him, took the biggest cap hit in the history of football to dump him, and they had a chance to go after Lamar. Again, back to the Falcons. Now, who you got? Michael Penix. You didn't already let Kirk Cousin go because that's who you depended on that year. You didn't already let him go. So yeah, man, it's Lamar. I don't know if it's the fact that they don't believe in him, but is it that they want this type of quarterback to lead their team? If you look at the other black quarterbacks, you look at it Caleb Williams, you look at it Jaden Daniels. These are guys that are pretty well spoken.
Jalen Hurts, yeah.
J- no, Jaden Daniels, the Commanders.
Oh, I didn't know if you meant Jalen Hurts as well.
No,
You want to throw him in the mix, but go ahead.
Jalen Hurts doesn't really say much. He's kind of quiet type. But these are guys that are pretty, that they're pretty well spoken. They're kind of your
sure.
They're kind of, for lack of better terms, they're kind of your guys that you can put in commercials. They're kind of your, and that's not Lamar. That's not Lamar. Lamar is, I mean, as we would say, Lamar is gutter. Lamar is gritty. Lamar is that guy that, around the corner, hey, that's my man. He gonna keep it straight with you. He gonna keep it real with you. He's humble. But when he gets out there, he can play that ball. But when it's over, he's not always looking for the flash and the limelight. He's not the guy that always wants to be in front of the camera, but he'll be in front of the camera. He's a quiet, strong leader. And a lot of these teams are looking for this idol boy. When they talk about the good looking quarterbacks, Lamar's never ranked up in there until you start reading them comments, and a lot of them white girls be like, why y'all ain't put Lamar Jackson up there? And they start showing Lamar Jackson photo shoots, and you be like, damn, I ain't know he took a photo shoot like that. Lamar got plenty of them GQ photo shoots that you just don't ever see, because that's not how he portrays himself. But yeah, the Baltimore, and I'm going to say Baltimore with a little caveat that even we know our own city doesn't believe in Lamar Jackson a lot. I mean, I just read a comment where somebody
What part
said,
of the city?
Well, you're just about to hear it. I just read a comment where someone said about Lamar. I mean, Lamar was better, but I still think Joe Flacco is the best quarterback we've ever had.
What they down there, like, is that South Baltimore?
Lamar's, look how my man said, Lamar's good and all, but there's something about that Flacco, something about that Joe that I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah, when you look at who says those things, who writes those comments,
down in Dundalk,
they definitely look like they're from the southernmost portion of Baltimore.
All right. I think he's poised for a big year.
I got him winning 2 Super Bowls in a row, back to back.
All right. It's time. It's time. From your mouth to God's ears. All right. So let's go into our next subject here. I'm sorry, you're not moving. Let's see. There we go. Miss Sophie Cunningham. And so Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham stated in a ESPN interview that transgender women and girls should be barred from female sports categories. She said her position is common sense, aimed at protecting young female athletes and privacy in locker rooms, while maintaining that she does not hate the transgender community. Her remarks sparked an intense national discourse, resulting in localized protests and supportive fan rallies outside of arenas during Indiana Fever road games. The WNBA has emphasized that player eligibility rules are collectively bargained and focus on preserving competitive integrity, while the Indiana Fever released a statement noting that their players hold independent perspectives. Now, Cunningham recently said that she wants to return her focus to basketball, as we see in her quotes here. I'm going to let people just do the speaking for themselves, but for me, I want to get back to basketball. It's always been about basketball. That interview with ESPN happened in March. I just want to make sure that the focus stays where it should, because people are playing at such a high level. And so, Calvin, she stated that she describes the attention following those comments made in the article about transgender athletes in women's sports as a distraction. And so, Calvin, where's the national outcry to tell Cunningham to just shut up and play basketball? Because if you remember, when LeBron and others were speaking out about Black Lives Matters, when they was in the bubble winning that fake NBA championship that year, you had LeBron uniting all the players. Everybody's wearing hoodies and stuff with, because of the death of Trayvon Martin. And you had this really national movement that a lot of the NBA players were a part of. And the outcry on all of the sports outlets and even some of the conservative outlets was, y'all just need to shut up and play ball. How come we haven't heard anybody tell Sophie Cunningham to shut up and play basketball?
Yeah, man. So, it's not necessarily shut up and play ball. It's, if I disagree with you, keep quiet and just do what you're doing. This shit. Keep quiet and go back to your regular. Now, if I agree, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But Sophie Cunningham. First of all, let me. Well, I'll save this one. But first of all, with Sophie Cunningham, let's start with the fact that she's I'll say slightly above average player, and I'm giving her some grace there.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm giving her some real grace.
She's not
there.
tearing the league up. She's a 3 and D person. She might hit an occasional 3, and she's out there to play D and hustle. She's hustle minutes.
She's the spark plug on their team. She's the enforcer on the team. She's the one that's going to bring the attention, that's going to bring the face. If there's a scuffle, she's going to be in the middle of that. Whether she starts it, whether she ends it, whether she just wants it for the camera time. But when you start talking like this, I just want to focus back on basketball. I go back to what we've been saying since the WNBA started getting really popular. You want to get this attention and this money that the men get. There's a lot that comes with it. It ain't just a larger paycheck. And as we can see, if you haven't seen it before, if you've kept up with the WNBA this year, it literally looks like the Real Housewives of the WNBA. Every week, there's some different type of drama that doesn't always have to do with the play on the court. It has to do sometimes with relationships between the players on the court. You recently heard about the girl who broke up with the other girl. So at the All-Star game, she came out and said, that's because she was cheating with all the other girls. There's always something.
When we going to hear this in the NBA?
Exactly. when you start bringing attention to yourself, this is the kind of things that's going to happen. And Sophie Cunningham also just got hit with, when you start leaning to one way, everyone wants you to continue to lean that way. And it sounds like when she talked about transgenders not being in the sport, it sounded like she was leaning to a more conservative way until them pictures started dropping of her with them black guys. And she's been all kind of mud ducks for the past. She's been all kinds of mud ducks for the past couple weeks because she freely dates who she wants to date, and a lot of the pictures they have with her are with some black guys. And you don't even really know if they're seeing each other, but she's been pictured with them, and they look like they've been cozied up dating different black guys. But not that Christian conservative. Now she's a mud duck. They want to cancel her. So now all of a sudden, let's start focusing back on basketball.
A mud duck. Let me go back to something, and I want to make sure I say this. Do you think that because it's turned into the Housewives of the WNBA, that the WNBA itself, its commissioner, they're not doing a good job of taking hold of the messaging? Like, you got Olivia Miles is tearing the league,
killing it.
I call her Magic Miles. Calvin, I ain't a person, I'm not gonna lie. WNBA basketball is not appointment TV for me. But if I'm home, I'll flick through, it was a game on. But I have to say, the last couple of weeks, I've honestly been looking for the games. Oh, Indiana's playing. They got a good team. Minnesota, you just got Nafisa Collier back, who's probably the second best player in the league next to Asia Wilson. And you putting that with Miles and the rest of that team. That's a real good team. I mean, the level of play, Paige Bucker's down in Dallas, and what's happening down in DC. They've won 7 games straight. That's a real good team. And so the level of play has gotten better, but they're not getting recognition for the level of play. They're getting recognition now. You got Caitlin Clark. You got to answer questions about Sophie Cunningham and what Sophie. Do you feel like Sophie feels? And so, who's responsible for controlling that message? Who should be putting out that message that, hey, y'all should be looking at Olivia Miles and these dimes that she's throwing in the game, as opposed to talking about this?
Yeah, so I've been a fan of the WNBA definitely from day
Yes.
one. I had season tickets for the Mystics when they had Shamika Holdsclaw. Rest in peace to Nikki McCrae. So I've been a fan from the beginning. So I've kept up with them. But now that the attention is coming, you are absolutely right. They need a much stronger leader. So what was happening was you were able just to put anyone in charge, and they've had a different few commissioners. You were able to put anyone in charge because they weren't getting that attention. The one thing that Adam Silver and his predecessor David Stern were excellent at was redirecting the focus from whatever else was going on to the play on the court, whether that be through different types of campaigns and endorsements. There's always been things like NBA cares, different slogans.
Sure.
What It's fantastic. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
Like
Yeah.
they've always had something. Now the WNBA is venturing into something that their leader doesn't have the experience, and she's missing interviews, purposely missing interviews. She's not answering questions to anyone's liking. It has to be overwhelming because, again, they're not used to this. They need to get a stronger leader. So, yes, to answer your question, it's the leadership. That's the commissioner's job. That's the commissioner's job to bring in the owners and for the owners to bring in the teams and redirect the focus, because right now the focus is on everything else but the play on the court. Olivia Miles, like you said, is killing it. Olivia Miles is the equivalent of an Anthony Edwards that joined the Minnesota Timberwolves. That Olivia Miles and the Minnesota Lynx, just think about that. I mean, she is an exciting ball player. Olivia Miles is what they wanted Caitlin Clark to be. Caitlin Clark came in being, and Angel Reese. Let me just not use Caitlin Clark.
Right.
They wanted those two to be that. Olivia Miles is exciting. It's her play. She talks trash about it. She ain't backing down from nobody. I
Right.
mean, that's who you want to be the face of the league. That's who you want to focus on. Then you still have your Paige Beckers. Olivia Miles also came out this rookie season. What's the young lady that's now Paige Becker's girlfriend that came from UConn? She's
Yes.
starting to come on. Remember, she started
Yes.
off slow. She's starting to come on. So yeah, it's the leadership at the top. They've got to find a way to, because you're not going to be able to stop the chatter. You're not going to be able to do it. And that's what the NBA and all the other sports have realized. Things are going to happen. People are going to be people, especially young people with money. They're going to be who they are. But you got to find a way to redirect the fan focus whenever you can. And the WNBA needs a leader that can do that.
Yeah, I mean, we should be talking about Kayla McBride's 43 points on Sunday. I caught the second half of that game, and I mean, she was just lights out. But we're focusing on this, or we're focusing on uh, Dejanay Carrington and the stud buds instead of the game. And nothing against the stud buds, but there's a lot of great basketballs being played,
A
but
lot
we're
of
not
great
talking about
basketball
it.
being played.
Yeah. Now, just to put a bow on this, 27 states, including Indiana, have passed legislation restricting transgender girls and women from girls and women's sports. The 2026 collective bargaining agreement in the WNBA states that only players who are women are eligible to play in the WNBA. And so, although there's no further definition of a woman or any publicly available policy governing transgender or intersex athlete eligibility, we see that the WNBA at least has something on the books to address it. And so hopefully, as we go forward, I agree with you, Sophie. Hopefully, we get to basketball, but maybe you can contribute to that by maybe keeping your opinions to yourself.
I don't think she has to. I really don't think she has.
Well, if you're going to go there, then be ready for the scrutiny.
Yeah,
If you, yeah,
exactly.
and so
Exactly.
I agree with you.
You just got to be ready for
If
it.
you're going to talk your politics, be ready for somebody to debate you about your
Exactly.
politics and not agree with
Exactly.
you on your politics, and
Exactly.
that's fine. I'm with that. All right, man. So let's go ahead to the next subject. Your boy Kawhi Leonard. Now, sources told the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast that Kawhi Leonard had a hidden multi-million dollar sponsorship deal with the Clippers scoreboard manufacturer at Intuit Dome. The sources, in addition to PTFO's investigation encounters with South Dakota-based Daktronics in its crisis communication firm, directly tie allegations of salary cap circumvention with a second team partner beyond aspiration. If you've been following this series that Pablo Torre has been doing on Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers in this aspiration deal, in this cap circumvention deal, aspiration was the lead organization in this, representing an important public development amidst the NBA's own inquiry. The NBA launched this investigation into the Clippers and Leonard in September of last year, after numerous podcasts from Torre, who cited internal documents that showed that the Clippers owner Steve Ballmer invested $50 million in aspiration through his personal LLC back in September of 2021. That month, the Clippers signed a 23-year, $300 million deal with Aspiration, making the company the first founding partner of the Intuit Dome. 6 months later, Aspiration signed a $28 million endorsement deal with Leonard. An unnamed employee who purportedly worked for the banking company told Torre that Leonard's sponsorship deal was to circumvent the salary cap. And so the Clippers have repeatedly denied that they funneled money through Aspiration to compensate Leonard, but we haven't heard anything about the latest allegations. And so, Calvin, if these endorsement deals are found to be true, should the NBA ban Leonard and or Clippers owner Steve Ballmer from the league, from life?
As a Lakers fan who watched Steve Ballmer's bravado hit the NBA with the we're gonna win it all, and we're gonna they left the Forum. Well, it's not even called the Forum, it's whatever it's called now. Staples Center.
It's crypto arena now, isn't it? It's crypto.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But they left and built their own thing, and it was the competition between the Clippers and the Lakers. This and that. Bottom line, and Garland explained it well, but just in layman's terms, the Clippers could only offer him so much money, and in order to beat out everyone else that wanted Kawhi Leonard coming off of a championship with the Toronto Raptors, they found a way to give him even more money.
Right.
The crazy thing about it is, and to answer your question directly, they should absolutely throw some sanctions on the Clippers, and they absolutely have to do something about Kawhi Leonard. If you're going to suspend guys for gambling, you may have to just kick Kawhi out the league for violating this type of rule. Maybe it's not that extreme, but I mean, unless you're going to make him give the money back, and that's going to be hard to do. But I mean, let's be honest. Let's look at it this way. What we say when you get fouled, and they call a foul on you, be like, I barely touched him. Then they shoot the ball and they don't make it. What we say, ball don't lie.
Yeah, ball don't lie.
So Kawhi won 2 championships in his, what was it, his 5-year stint in San Antonio.
Yes.
He won 1 ring in his only year in Toronto. How many rings did he win when he went to LA? Actually, did he even
He didn't
play
win
a full
any.
season? He didn't win that?
Yeah.
Ball
He
don't
played
lie.
a couple full
Ball,
seasons.
ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. Kawhi ain't win nothing with the Clippers. And now they trying to trade him back to Toronto. I know Toronto is sitting there like, hold on. I don't think the trade actually went through, but I think it's kind of now in limbo because of all this investigation. Steve Ballmer cheated. We know he did, and he didn't have to. That's the thing. You just didn't have to do it. Play fair, play by the rules or whatever. The Clippers weren't a bad team to begin with, but you got a broken down Kawhi Leonard. He barely played any time, and again, ball don't lie. He ain't win nothing there. Suspend all of them because the king of LA are the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's go, baby. Clippers will never be the face of LA. Y'all trying to do?
It'd be
Y'all trying to
crazy
sneak
if
up
the
on my
Clippers
Lakers.
come out and win the championship this year. That'd be really, really crazy because the Lakers ain't got nobody but
Lakers ain't got
Luca,
nobody.
and so Lakers ain't got
Nobody.
nobody over
The
there.
cream team. We got the cream team out
Right,
here
y'all got
now.
the cream team.
We gentrified. I'm about to go out there with a latte and some Fiji water and sit back
Right,
and watch the
right,
game. Hey
right.
man, but I'm gonna tell you, it's just a shame, because they have to do something about it. Like you got to
Sure,
do something.
sure.
And case in point, how we just talked about the WNBA can't redirect it. This is something that, if you've noticed, unless you've actually been listening to Pablo and reading deep into the NBA, they've been kind of keeping this. It's a national story, but it ain't blow up like it should be blowing up.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
Adam
NBC is not
Silver,
reporting this on an
exactly,
ongoing basis. They are the
exactly.
NBA's major partner. ESPN is not talking about it a lot until a podcast comes out, so you're not hearing it on their major media partners
Mm-hmm.
about this. And so, yeah, I agree with you. It's they've done a good job of kind of keeping it down. And people, hey, where are you in the investigation? Oh, we're thinking it should be done pretty soon. We're hoping it's done before the season or whatever. And they're being as vague as they can. For me, I don't think the denials from Steve Ballmer have been strong enough,
They
and
have not.
they haven't. And you definitely ain't getting nothing out of Kawhi. And so for me, it's like y'all ain't saying nothing. Y'all not making me believe that this did not happen. And so for me, just on paper, yeah, it happened. It happened. I mean, I think I heard Jim Rome said, if you ain't treating, you ain't trying. And so, I'm not mad at the cheating, because they're trying to get an edge up on the game. Everybody does it. Everybody tries to get an edge on the contract negotiations. Trust me, this ain't the first sweetener deal that a free agent got that circumvented the cap. It just wasn't something like this. And so, yeah, I think, but it's crazy, Calvin. I think before they banned Balmer, they would ban Leonard. And I say that
Yeah.
because
Yep.
Balmer is a trillionaire that brought stability to that market. There's no way
Agreed.
that they're going to, they don't want to have him have to sell that team to someone else. He
He was
built
supposed to
he
be
built
the
his own arena. He built into it
yeah.
with
He
his
was
own money.
he was supposed to be the fresh ownership, the
Yeah,
new type of ownership in the
yeah,
league, and took over for Donald Sterling. They
right,
forced Sterling to sell.
right.
Well, at that point,
Yeah,
they
they
forced
forced
his wife
Sterling
to
to sell.
sell.
Yeah.
And he took
Well,
over
they
from there.
yeah.
So yeah,
And so, yeah, this guy, he got Microsoft money. And there's no way in God's green earth that they want him to sell that franchise. And so they're going to do whatever they can to save him. And to me, right now, it's in such a flux. I mean, it's August. You figure training camp for basketball is going to have to start maybe late September, October, because the season normally starts before Thanksgiving in
yeah,
November.
yep.
And so this is right around the corner. And you had a trade that's been hung up because of this. And so they traded him to Toronto. They're getting back two assets, but are they going to play for the Clippers this year, or are they going back to Toronto? And so there's a lot to figure out there, and maybe it's taking so long because maybe it doesn't look good. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, just on the surface of it, because I'm not hearing what I want to hear from Balmer or Kawhi or Adam Silver for that uh, message too. That to me,
Adam
don't
ain't
look
gonna
good.
get you. Hey, Pablo. Get you some security, bro, because you keep
yeah,
dipping your toe
Pablo.
in that water. Somebody gonna be mad.
Pablo just be waiting. He just be waiting. Like, okay, is dead season? Psych, it ain't dead. Let me drop this next episode 13 of this aspiration series right here.
Pablo, Pablo
Ain't
be
done.
Pablo be you'll hear coming up on Pablo Torre. Oh my God, who's that shooting at me? we'll, we'll hear this, but first,
Yeah,
hey
right.
man, hey, hey, in the
I
words of
hope
my
not.
man 50 Cent or Kanan when he was talking about Ghost,
Mm-hmm. He
whatever
did
they
that
said
shit.
Kawhi did, he did that shit.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, man. Let's go ahead and want to give a rest in power to Don Nelson. Don Nelson, the second winningest coach in NBA history, a five-time NBA champion as a player and as a member of I believe it was the Mavericks won the championship. He was a member of the Mavericks front office. He spent 31 seasons as a NBA head coach with the Milwaukee Bucks, Golden State Warriors twice, New York Knicks, and the Dallas Mavericks. Nelson finished with a regular season record of over 1,300 wins. He was 1,335 wins versus over 1,000 losses, about 1,063. He retired from with the most coaching wins ever, a mark that was broken by San Antonio's Greg Popovich in March of 2022. He was 86, and as a player, he won those titles in 11 seasons with the Boston Celtics, who retired his number 19 jersey in 1978. And he played a total of 14 seasons in the WNBA, excuse me, in the NBA. He used an unorthodox coaching style that became known as Nelly Ball to put together a Hall of Fame resume. Nelly Ball proved to be ahead of his time, utilizing smaller, more athletic players to fuel a fast-paced offense that prioritized creating mismatches through speed. It was a philosophy that was adopted across the league long after he retired. And so I think I was saying in our text line the other night, Calvin, that really Nelly popularized the positionless basketball. A lot of times we like to attribute it to people like Phil Jackson and some others, but really it was Nelly that popularized positionless basketball. You had the a number four or someone who was playing in the number four position he created the point forward with Paul Pressey. He had great teams. I mean, you had Sidney Moncrief, Marquise Johnson, Brian Winters, Junior Bridgman, Terry Cummings. He had Craig Hodges. He had Ricky Pierce. He had a lot of great players, and he came up with a lot of great combinations. But I think the thing that probably hurt him, he was just in the wrong era. I mean, so those great Bucks teams, that was during the peak of the Celtics and the 76ers and the Pistons in the East. Couldn't really get through those teams. And then once he got out west, you have the Lakers in peak. And then, finishing up in Dallas, you had the Jordan era. And so, his teams were innovative, but he just was in bad eras. Any thoughts about Don Nelson?
Listen, man, I'm shocked that you skipped over this. And as you all know, our outside homeboy contributor, Jay Walls, as he's listening to this, he's probably pulling out. Well, he ain't got no head like I done got no head. He
I'll
probably
put out
pulling out his
statistics.
little bed because how do you not mention that Don Nelson was the coach of Run TMC,
I forgot
Tim
about that. Run
Hardaway,
TMC.
Chris Mullen,
That's
Chris
right.
Webber, Latrell Spring. How do you not mention
True.
that?
True.
That was listen. If you had Sega Genesis at that time, that was the era, son. That was probably one of the most exciting
NBA Live, that's your team. You just gonna shoot threes the whole game.
You had to. But no, other to be very honest, piggybacking on what you said, Don Nelson is one of those coaches that if you talk or listen to any of the players in their interviews, they give him much respect, along with the Chuck Daly's, all of the great coaches that have since either passed or have retired and you haven't heard much of. But he's in that era of the great coaches that help build the NBA, help establish it for our generation coming in. So rest in peace to Donnie Nelson.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. We're at the point that everybody loves in the show. Come on, yo. And I know we talked at the beginning. Both of us really didn't have come on, yos. But we're going to tell y'all to stick with us. We're going to be off next week, but like we said, we're going to come back in about 2.5 weeks with our NFL preview show. So it gives us some time to do some prep, get our picks together, study, get ready to discuss the teams in depth. And also, as I mentioned last week, we're going to be transitioning to a new platform as well. And so we're, getting ourselves prepared for that. That means, we need to get our hair cut, make sure we got some decent clothes because we're going to really be on camera then. And so we need to get a clothes sponsor. Anybody out there, DXL, got some DXL connections that can get us a DXL hookup with some 3Xs and above clothing. We love to talk to you. If you want to be a sponsor of our show, the B.I.G show, as a matter of fact, man, maybe we talk to Sandy about that. Get us, Sandy, can you go out there and see if you can get us a DXL endorsement and whatever? DXL could be a sponsor of the show.
Hey man, that's the come on, yo. Let's redirect that come on, yo, to the whole come on, yo. Y'all gotta support us out here. You know what I mean? We know that you all have been sticking with this for a few years, but come on, we going to bigger and better things. We want y'all to support us there, get your friends there, start watching the broadcast. We're going to take a week off, get our thoughts together, get ourselves together, and then we're going to come back. We're going to drop the NFL prediction episodes, and they're going to be 2 episodes that we're going to record. So we definitely want you there. And if you heard the name Sandy is with Be More Podcast Network. And if you remember, Arsenio Hall show got his fame because he kept saying, "Hey, Sandy, what we got going on in the back?" Right. And Sandy would come out and talk to him, be like, "Yeah, Arsenio. So hey, we got our own Sandy right now. So we're looking for bigger and better things. So come on, yo. Support your boys. Support your boys. I'm just saying, support your boys.
Need y'all. We see y'all in a couple weeks. Be safe. You have been listening to the B.I.G show. Hey, this show was produced and written by Calvin Coates and Garland Thomas for All Things Black Productions. Follow us on all of your podcast media platforms.
No, he did 8 minutes instead of the 13 that he did the first time. Come on, Gerard. Later, man.
All right, bro.